Welcome back to the Lipoedema Podcast. We're your hosts, Shell.
And Tiana, and today we have a special guest all the way from Spain. It is Elise from Lipoedema with Elise. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Elise.
Good morning, my beautiful ladies from Australia. I'm delighted to be here and sharing this moment with you. Thank you.
We are so glad to have you and that our timings matched up.
Thank
it can be
goodness.
so difficult when we're talking to people from around the world to get our timings right. Sometimes it'll be hard enough across states here in Australia because we've got daylight savings in some states and not in others. Yeah, enough about that. Elise, what first made you realize something wasn't right in your body?
Well, all of my life, actually, I have always been a big girl, a big child. My first diet was when I was 7 years old, and I don't have pictures of my legs as a childhood, as a teenager. I suspect I have lipedema since age 6 at least, because I have this ballet picture, and my thighs and my knees are not normal. And from then my lipedema just kept growing. And I lived in the UK where I learned English, and there my lipedema bursted when I was 13 years old. And when I came back home, my hips were like the typical lipedema, like this, my thighs, very young age. And that was not normal because I kept losing weight and my legs stayed the same. Common story for all of us, I guess. Not the age, but the pattern. Yeah.
And it's so hard too, Elise, because we lose weight from our upper body, which makes our legs even more disproportionate and, brings more of a spotlight onto how different our body is to other people, which is, really crappy.
Yeah, that's right. I even have pictures when I was 16, 7 years old that I'm with my friend at the beach, spending a day there, and she's standing up and I'm going down because all the water was to my waist, and then she was like standing up right beside me because I hated my lower legs, my lower body, because I was so skinny. I didn't have breasts. I was so small. But then I had a 3-4 size difference of my upper and my lower, very much. It was, my teenage years were complicated because of that.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, that echoes so many of our experiences.
Yeah.
So did getting the diagnosis, did that change the way you saw your body?
Totally. I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, my diagnosis was in 2019, if I'm saying correct. I was 45 or 46 years old, and it was like, finally I had the answer, and finally I understood why it was also difficult, so painful, so complicated. And I'm not speaking about the physical pain. I'm speaking about the mental issues. And my husband told me like 10 years before that he had seen ladies on Facebook and the first Instagram stories. He's like, I think you have this disease. And I was like, no, I'm just fat.
Interesting.
And I was like, I did the same as the doctors do to us. No,
dismissed
I'm
it.
just fat.
Yeah.
Misleading. And when I finally had the diagnosis, I went like all of us, good and bad stuff. It's like, a chronic condition? Really? This is so hard to cope with. But on the other side, I was happy because I understood what happened to my body, that I could do things to improve and get better. But it's a complicated. But for me, diagnosis was the best that has happened in me after having my 2 girls, my 2 daughters. Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah.
Can you talk us through how you got diagnosed?
Yeah, it was through awareness. In my country, there was this newspaper article that widespread that these 3 brave women were showing their legs on a national newspaper, explaining, I have lipedema. These legs are not fat. It's lipedema. And they explained the symptoms. There was the start of the Spanish Association of Lipedema. And when I read the symptoms, well, actually, my sister who also has lipedema told me, Elise, I think we have this. I read the symptoms and it was like, oh God, I have this. And then I went to 3 doctors because I wanted to make sure. I wanted to believe them. The 3 of them, just by pulling my trousers down, were like, I don't need to do the test. Your lipedema on the book. I'll do the test just to make it like a check. But yes, I have stage 2-3 lipedema, full arms, full legs. I suspect I have in my lower belly but very slow, very little on the back of my back. I mean, I think it's like more than 70% of my body has lipedema, but that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned a test. Do you know what the test was that they do in Spain?
Yeah, they do. I don't know the names in English. Echo Doppler, and they do also an echography. Like it's like an ecography that it's painful because every time I go to the vascular doctor, that I go every 6 months or so. We have a good healthcare here, fortunately. It hurts because they look at your vein, at your saphenous vein in the legs to check how it's working. And also they look at the fat, how it goes. And those were 2 or 3 tests that they did to me, and they all came positive.
Yeah.
And sorry, where did you, so you said you go to a vascular doctor, which, we have some vascular doctors here in Australia that also, do those tests, and then they have knowledge about lipedema, which is fantastic. Where was it a particular one that has knowledge about lipedema that can support other women,
Yeah, I asked the Spanish, well, actually the Catalan Association of Lipedema that were amazing. And I asked, I want to go to a vascular that knows about lipedema. And they gave me this very short list. I'm like 10, 15 doctors back in 2019. Not very much. And I have a private healthcare insurance, and we have a national healthcare like they have in France or Sweden or like in the UK. And I could go to both, but it's faster with the private insurance. So I went to the private insurance to 3 of those doctors. Yes.
Oh, you went to 3. Oh,
Yeah. I wanted to make sure.
You want to make sure they had it right.
And isn't that just the way, because you and I have often talked about how we doubt, all of the thoughts and feelings and symptoms that we have, and we think, oh, maybe I'm just overweight, or maybe I'm just putting on weight because of my behaviors. And it's so, I think our audience again is going to relate to that you were just constantly questioning whether this was true, even though it was quite obviously true.
Yeah, that's right. Because we've been told all of our lives, you're fat. This is fat. You have to eat less, do more exercise. You're not doing it right. But doctor, I do everything you're telling me by the book. Are you sure? You know that face? Well, worldwide. And I was doubting. I was like, no, I have to make sure. I have to make sure. If I have lipedema, I want to have a right diagnosis. 3 doctors. I needed 3.
I love that.
So looking back now, like, were there times where your lipedema shifted? Like when you had your 2 pregnancies, or any other times in life where you feel it changed?
Well, my first burst of lipedema was at 13 years old when I lived in the UK. It was the time I was in the UK at 1988 when there was that crazy cow's illness.
Mad cow.
Yeah. And that was the time. Because of that, I cannot be a blood donor. It's forbidden in Spain. Yeah. And my brain is okay, but but my lipedema bursted there, and I was really bad legs all of my life. Okay, stage 2-3 since 14 years old, and my lipedema bursted again in the 2 pregnancies. Well, 3, although I had a miscarriage, and then the worst that happened to me was when I was in IDU, hormonal IDU, after having my girls. That was the worst thing in my life. I mean, 1 week after, I started to have a depression. I started to have more pain. My arms, who had been thin all of my life, even though when I lost weight after the pregnancies, etc., they kept, kind of normal. After that, they started growing, and it started with the pain and with the heaviness. That was the time that I controlled, and I even asked my gynecologist, a woman, I have lipedema. is this going to cause me any problem? No, 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 no.
They always say no when it's hormonal therapy. They always say no.
Yeah, yeah. And I knew I had lipedema and I knew I couldn't have hormonal, but I trusted the doctor. And I mean, it was horrible. And when I took it off, I decided to took it off and started red diet, everything went better. But that's the thing I regret the most, because I accepted to put it in and like was I was 40 years old. I had been all of my life without hormonal treatments with condoms, and that's it. And well, please take all of your IDUs off your bodies. They're horrible for us. Yeah. And I'm
We're
saying to
often
your
asking
audience,
in the Facebook groups and in the communities, often asking about any kind of hormonal, like whether that be HRT for menopause and perimenopause, or whether it be like the birth control pill or the IUDs. We're often asking, like, is this going to affect my lipedema? And the medical consensus is it's not. But anecdotally, I feel like it really does for a lot of people. Not everybody, but for a lot of people. And it can swing one way or it can swing the other way. So like the fact that we just don't know and there's not enough research and it's really hard to do the research, etc., puts us on the back foot, because we're gambling with that kind of intervention, aren't we, on our body?
the thing is that it really surprises me is that what I have seen is that in the Commonwealth countries like Canada, like I include the States because you're all in the Anglo-Saxon culture, UK, Australia, South Africa, this kind of information is not released to your countries. In Spain, the little knowledge we have about lipedema is that these birth control pills or substitutes or anything that's related to hormonal does affect lipedema.
That's interesting.
Yes. I mean, I cannot relate to a scientific study because that would be international knowledge, but I learned this from other girls. I mean, it's common knowledge amongst us. I mean, and I was so shocked when I opened my page that when I wrote that, everybody was like, I haven't heard of this. I haven't heard of this. And I'm like, how? I mean, in the States are the best doctors in the world, the best medical institutions in the UK, very prestigious. I'm not very well aware about Australia, but since you have such a big country and with a strong economy and a lot of population, I'm sure you have amazing medical community there. I mean, no doubt. How come? I mean, something that's known in Europe is not known worldwide. It's shocking for me. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do also lipedema with Elise, because I saw that many of the knowledge I was carrying on my everyday was not in the English-speaking countries. And I wanted to help out. Yes.
What does supporting your lipedema look like in this season of your life at the moment?
Okay, look, I'm going to be 52 this Sunday, and I'm in menopause since I think 3 years ago. I'm wearing compression 12 hours a day, flat knit, custom made in my everyday life. Although I also use other compression to do exercise, maybe to dress out prettier because they're hard to cope with. But I always buy them black so I can use them as leggings, as tights, as trousers, as well, always black because it's easier to match with the rest of the clothes. And that's the part. I do low impact exercise as my treatment. That's my medicine. Okay. I try to do 2 times a week, 4 times a week, ideally, walking, swimming, elliptical, strength training, also static bicycle. Those are my mottos because they're easier for me because I have always hated to do exercises until I was 40 years old that I started doing it because of lipedema. And I always loved dancing and swimming because
Great exercise.
running was not for me, and playing soccer, playing lacrosse, tennis, anything. I was horrible. So I hate them. And also following a specific nutrition that's rat diet that was created amongst other specialists, the amazing Dr. Karen Herbst from the States. I've been following that since 2019 and it has been my legs saver. Totally.
Oh, Really interesting. Can you talk more about what that is? It RAD diet, RAD?
Right. Yes,
What
correct.
that diet looks like in practice for you?
Yeah. In practice is, for example, for breakfast, I eat a wrap that I make with zucchini, psyllium seeds, and eggs. And I put some goat cheese or sheep cheese that have no lactose. And for example, some kind of like ham or like other kind of those kind of meal, or tuna or salmon or some protein, and that's my breakfast. For lunchtime, some veggies that are not inflammatory. Inflammatory vegetables would be, for example, onions are very inflammatory, so I restrict them quite a bit. Tomatoes, because are high in sugar, also inflammatory, so I try to consume very little of them. For example, spinach, arugula are very anti-inflammatory, so we can eat tons of that. Green peppers also amazing. Mushrooms also, we can eat whatever. The goal is to reduce always the inflammatory food at minimum and eat the anti-inflammatory food. For example, red meat like veal, I try to eat once a week because it's inflammatory. It's high in protein, it's low in fat, but it's inflammatory. So even though I love it, I try to eat it very low. My protein intake is very high in fish, eggs, and poultry. Okay, that's the goal. My ratio of food is half of the dish protein, 1/4 veggies, and the other quarter it's healthy fats, avocado, nuts, or olives. That's the correct ratio. And my carbs are very low because I have a high weight. I'm overweight. So I try to keep my weight in control, though it's very difficult, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like what you're describing sounds a bit Mediterranean type diet-ish. Would you agree, or is there a bit like, am I getting that a bit wrong?
Okay, Mediterranean diet is what I have been doing for all of my life since I was 40 years old or 45, since I was diagnosed, and didn't help me. No, it's true. The base of how I eat and how I cook is Mediterranean because this is me. This is my DNA. But still, because we eat pasta in Mediterranean, we
And
eat
the
a lot
tomato-based foods as
tomato
well.
based.
Yeah.
Yogurt and stuff like that.
Yeah, red pepper. It's like a religion in my country.
Yeah.
So I try to combine both, always trying that the food is tasteful, is colorful, is crunchy, because with this diet I miss a lot the crunchiness because I don't eat bread.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Crunch
Yeah,
is
Important.
It's really important. That's where we go for all the salty snack foods like the chips and stuff because we want that crunch.
Crunch because
Yeah.
that
that's
means
right.
eating.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
just quickly looked it up, and RAD diet, it actually stands for red adipose disorder.
That's
so it
right.
is for adipose disorders, which is what we have.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Yes.
We'll have to look more into it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It changed my life. I mean, when I knew I had lipedema, but I had a very difficult moment back then when I was diagnosed. I had problems with my relatives. I had problems at my job. My life just turned very hectic. And my knees were starting to have such a big pain that I couldn't bend down. I was
Yeah, wow.
45 years old. I was young. I mean, and I got very scared. So it was like, no, Elise, I don't want to be crippled. I don't want to be in a wheelchair in no time. So you have to do something. And that's why my core base is a journalist. So I had to do a lot of research and a lot of backup information. And I started changing my habits and forgetting about gluten, sugar, lactose, processed foods, and no regrets. It's been the best I have done in my life. It's hard. It's very hard, I have to confess, but it's worthwhile. I mean, I don't have knee pain anymore. Wow, it's
Very
great.
good.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's excellent. And it's a credit to you. Like, I was thinking before that you started an exercise journey, in your 40s, and that's hard to do when you've not been an exerciser your whole life. To start something in your 40s is so challenging. And then to completely change your diet and have to go against a lot of cultural foods and a lot of foods that we use for mourning, for celebration, for entertainment, and all that stuff. That's also an incredible change. So you have a lot of grit about you, Elise, and that's it's quite wonderful to see that you are seeing the benefits that you quite rightly deserve with all of those efforts.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was easy because it's my medicine. When I started to see food as my medicine, exercise as my medicine, because we don't have pills,
Yeah.
it shifted. Everything shifted. It was like, this is it. I have found my medicine. It's the food and the exercise. But the exercise has to be combined with compression because if not, our lipedema gets worse. So those are the 3 legs we have to follow. When you understand that, when everything is clear and it's like, no, I'm not going back because I was in a very bad stage. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for my diagnosis, actually. Yes, always, every day.
You're passing that on to the community. You have Lipedema with Elise, which is an Instagram page. You've got a Facebook page and you've got a YouTube channel. And so you're taking your experience public, which again helps other people in that layperson palatable way that, we have done as well. So many people are coming on our podcast telling us that they heard about lipedema through social media.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so the impact that you have on your community or the people that follow you is very strong.
I feel very blessed for every one of all the ladies that follow me or don't follow me and see me, because I received messages that are just so beautiful, so amazing. Girls telling me, I think I have this. Are you serious? This is a disease? And I have never heard of this. And it's amazing. For me, it's very big to be helping girls to see that they can put a name to our reality. And plus, when I share the tips that I have been doing research, I have tried myself, and then I share always in this order. And then they reach back to me and they're like, Elise, I've been doing this for 15 days and it works. I feel so much better. My legs are changing. This is magic. It's so beautiful. I know it works because I have tried it. And when I see stage 1 or stage 2, I know it's going to work because it worked for me in stage 2, 3, and with a lot of pain. And I was starting to have mobility issues. And of course, horrible pain. So I'm so happy to be doing this journey. It's a lot of work, but it pays off just to receive those messages. It's very pretty, very, very pretty.
Yeah, powerful and validating.
Totally.
So, we're curious because sometimes, especially for newly diagnosed people, the weight is quite heavy on emotionally, where they sort of merge into becoming lipedema. So it's not just having lipedema, it's like I am lipedema. There's that feeling of it
Their
being
identity.
their identity.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious for you, Elise, how do you live a full life alongside lipedema rather than it becoming all encompassing?
Well, actually, I don't think I can separate my life from lipedema because it affects me every day. I mean, when I work at an office and I have to stand up every hour to walk a little bit, have to, when at lunchtime, I'm going walking outside. I eat in lipedema style 24/7. And my life is actually related to lipedema, and plus doing social media doesn't help to be independent from lipedema, because I always try to look for interesting things, for content that is going to help. So it's difficult for me, but I try and I succeed in having a normal and successful life, sexual life outside of lipedema, family life. But I understand that's complicated for many of the girls out there. For example, sexual life, it's complicated because I have read that they don't have sex without lights, with lights off, not wearing a bikini, not going to the beach, not going to the swimming pool with their kids. That breaks my heart. That really breaks my heart because I see that. I have never dared that happen to me. I've always worn a bikini because here in Spain, that's very normal. I even did topless. I still do topless all of my life. But it's hard when you see people staring at your legs, exposing yourself like that. I truly understand why they don't want to go to the beach or to the swimming pool with their kids, but it breaks my heart. And awareness is for that. So all of the society knows that we are there. Our legs are there. They are what they are. They're normal for us because they're reality, even though we hide them. I mean, because we hide them, they don't see the reality, but they're there.
That's right.
They're
We need
there.
more of that representation. The more that we get out there and show our legs and our arms and enjoy our lives the best we can, then that's going to get someone else to do that too. And that's why,
Right.
I don't wear a bikini, but I wear bathers all the time. Like I live in swimmers because I'm always swimming. Like, and that I've never stopped doing that. Yeah.
And you don't have to, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because there's validation on existing as lipedema ladies, and we are here, and it's a reality. I mean, it's 11% of the women in the world. I calculated it is like almost 500 million women in the world. But there's this study in Spain, in Valencia, that says that 18.8% of women have lipedema.
Wow.
Almost 20%.
Much bigger statistic, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and when at least in Spain, it's that. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in summertime, when I'm walking around, I see legs, and it's like, she has it, she has it, she has it, she has it. Stage 1. I mean, stage 1, you see it everywhere. It's shocking, and we have to be more empowered, and accounts like me, channels like me, help doing that. And social media gives us so much power. And to the diseases like lipedema that have been banned, that have been hidden. And we have to be there showing the world, we are here. World, we are here. We're empowered. We're the lipedema ladies, and we are cool, man. That's what we are. Yeah. That's how I see it in a positive way.
All right.
Yeah.
We are nearly ready to wrap up. So, last question.
Okay.
What do you wish someone had told you before diagnosis?
Okay. I wish when I was 15, someone had told me, stop eating gluten, stop eating sugar, stop eating lactose, and forget about processed foods. That had been a big change for me. And I know one of you has done surgery or is doing surgery's journey. And meeting my surgeon would have been amazing when I was 15, 16, because all of the shame, all of the, I get emotional, all of the mental struggle I had and all the insecurities I still carry around, although I'm fighting them, and I'm even in my bikinis in Instagram, so it's hard for me every time I do it, but I know it's for good. I wish someone had told me this, and probably I wouldn't be like I am right now, physically or mentally, but I wish that would have happened. Early diagnosis for me, it's the key for lipedema. And I always try to do this in the speeches I do, in the channel I have. Early diagnose, it's basic. It's really basic. We need more medical research. We need more medical help, assistant, general doctors, general JPs, or I don't know how you say it in Australia, have to see a girl who's 13, 14, 15, 11, that's starting to be overweight, and she still has those symptoms that we know that if you approach them early, it's like diabetes. You can treat it. You can help that girl and stop it. And probably it will progress. It's hormonal. It's very complicated because it's a multisystemic disease. But it won't get to the point that I was, and I had to, or people that need 4 surgeries. That's horrible. I should need 4 surgeries too, but I don't want to go through that journey. That's what I would wish. Early diagnose and help from a young age.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what got us started here. We
Yeah.
wanted to get that diagnosis age down.
Yes. Because it's 48
48.
at the moment. The standard age of diagnosis is 48, and Shell was
I was 48.
48 years old when she was diagnosed.
Yeah.
And so that hits hard in the Lipoedema podcast world, but also you were in your 40s as well when you were diagnosed. Like, it's very prevalent, and we need to get that number down.
Yeah, but I was diagnosed because I saw the article, not because the doctor diagnosed me. It's different.
That's right.
Because I was looking for answers. So if you're not looking for answers, that's the average age. When you're starting at stage 2, stage 3, when things are starting to get more complicated, in all manners, because your lymphatic system is more blocked, your connective tissue is affected, your fat has grown so much that it's difficult to lose the weight, but not because you don't do it correctly. As you know, it's because the lymphatic system is trapped, the circulation is trapped, everything is trapped, and it's harder. So early diagnose is the must. Is the
key.
must. Is the must. Plus, that's also.
Magic pill. Yes, we want a magic pill.
Magic pill.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
Elise, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Spain today.
Yes, we're so
Pleasure.
grateful to you.
yeah, pleasure,
you.
real pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.